So running a sustainable handyman business is actually fairly simple, and today I wanted to talk about that. I think it really breaks down to 4 simple things. If you do these 4 things, you will dominate the handyman industry in your area, and it just a matter of fact is if you're going to do these 4 things or if you're not going to. Number 1, answer the phone. You would be surprised how many people do not answer the phone when people call. I was one of those people. I've shared this story many times back in the day, back probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I had the reputation of don't call honestly handyman because he doesn't answer his phone. I completely understand why people don't answer their phone, but in order to be successful, you have to answer your phone, and it's actually fairly simple to make that transition, but you have to consciously make that decision. The reason why I didn't answer my phone was because I was just busy. I was the one building things, I was the one fixing things. I didn't necessarily have time, or I didn't think I had time to answer the phone call and basically take some time away from the job to talk to the client because I had to pay the bill. So at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to pricing, but that's kind of a whole nother story, is if you have your pricing set correctly, you can afford to take time away from the job and actually answer that phone. And there's a lot of other things that you can implement as well, hiring employees, call services, things like that. The second thing that you must do to become a successful handyman is show up when you say you're going to show up. I've heard many stories from many different clients saying that, we called Joe Schmo Handyman and he never showed up. Or we called Joe Schmo Handyman and he showed up an hour late and he expected for us to still be around, but we were gone. We had to go on vacation or whatever it was. We had to go to work. It's really interesting when people don't show up. I don't understand that. I've always been someone, I've operated under the mentality that if you are early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. That's kind of how I've always operated. I remember my brother's football coach kind of ingrained that into his football team, and I was kind of, part of that crowd is like, I want to be like my brother, and I remember his coach saying this, so I kind of adopted that. Like, okay, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. I'm like, okay, so everything I've done, I've kind of revolved around that principle so that whenever I have to go see clients or whatever, I'm always early. I show up at least 5-10 minutes early, and I just sit in my truck. I make sure I get everything ready. I relook over the jobs, relook over the pictures I have to make sure that I'm ready to rock and roll once I go and ring that doorbell. I know who I'm talking to, I know what they need, and I just have all the knowledge and information that I can possibly have before I go into the project so that I could have a good outcome at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. The third thing that you need to do to be a successful handyman is, I want to interrupt this video real quick and let you guys know that I have created an Amazon store so that you guys can see all of the tools that I recommend as well as business books that I highly recommend. The tools is quite interesting. As I was building that store, I realized there's a lot of crazy tools that I've really come across in our 7 years in business. So check that out. I will put a link in the description below where you can check out that Amazon store, see everything that we recommend. And also, I want to let you know, so you don't forget, you can schedule a free consultation call with me at handymanjourney.com/coaching. I look forward to talking with you soon. Let's get back to today's video. Do the job correctly, but do the job for the price that you said you're going to do the job for. I've heard many stories, you've probably heard them as well, on the news of contractors saying that, okay, I'm going to do this job for $10,000, and then they come in and then all of a sudden at the end of the job it's $70,000, and if the client doesn't pay, you're going to sue them or whatever it is. I've also heard other people say, and we've seen it on the news as well, that contractors will come and they'll start a job and then they'll get a down payment and then they'll skip town. And the contractor or the handyman's just gone, nowhere to be seen, never heard from again. And then there's these cases filed. It's like, oh, I'm missing $70,000 because I paid some contractor before he finished the job, and now the contractor's not around. Don't be that person, right? So show up, make sure you do the job you say you're going to do, and do it for the price you say you're going to do it for. Now, I want to put a caveat here that there's always those instances where you have upcharges or change orders. Those are perfectly fine. Those are completely understandable, and those should be actually discussed with the client up front. Whereas whenever we give an estimate to a client, we always tell them, hey client, just so you know, this is the price for if everything goes correctly and as smoothly as we think it's going to, but we are opening this wall. We don't know what we're going to find behind this wall. You might have a pipe that's leaking behind this wall that we need to address before we go and fix the stuff that we're supposed to fix. And that obviously is going to, add some time, add some materials into this project. So this is what we tell a client. So if we get into something that we find out is going to basically take us a lot longer, do you mind if we just call a timeout on this job and we talk about what the price is going to look like going forward? Most of the time, clients are like, yes, that would be great. I would love for you to bring those things to my attention before you just continue with them and then charge me a bunch more at the end of the day. So clients want to know. Clients want to be put in the loop. So that's where change orders come into play, is basically having a good communication with the client so that they know when things might change and they know if things might change at all. But at the end of the day, be honest and be respectful with the price that you give a client. If you tell them that, hey, to replace this door, it's going to be $500, and there's no and you don't actually find any issues when you pull that door out or anything like that, that's going to add to the price, charge them $500. Don't charge them any more. Don't rip people off. That's at the end of the day what we're trying to get at here, is don't rip people off and do the work that you say you're going to do. All right, the fourth thing that you need to do to be a successful handyman is follow up. This is what so many people miss out on, and I missed out on it too, just because the sheer fact that I was busy, right? A lot of times people, they mistake being busy for actually making money and making a profit at the end of the day. And I believe that making a profit and making money comes with follow-up. I believe strongly that fortune is in the follow-up. And if you're not following up, there's no way that you could possibly have a fortune. Following up is very important, and I think a lot of people miss out on the opportunity to regain a client because they're just like, oh, I've done work for Sally 3 years ago. I don't want to bother her again. I'm sure she'll call me if she ever needs anything else because I made such a good impression on her. Now that may happen. Sally may call you, because you did make a good impression on her 3 years ago. But I'll tell you right now, most people are not going to remember you. Most people, I'm always amazed by, we're talking to someone, on the phone, and we give them a quote that they like, and we're like, okay, we're going to come out here next Wednesday. And they ask me, who is this again? What's the name of your company? They do not know. They don't know what the name of your company is because they're calling all these different random people trying to find the best quote or find the person that they like the most, and they forget who they call. They forget which handyman this is. So by going through and finishing a job and expecting the client to call you back in 3 years when they need something else, that's hogwash. They're not going to do that most of the time. You are going to have those consistent clients that will do that, but a lot of times people do not remember who you are. So you need to be constantly staying in front of their mind space so that they can remember to give you a call when they need it. So this is really important to have retargeted branded marketing and things like that. So using your CRMs and doing email blasts or text blasts or postcards or anything like that is a fantastic thing to do because it gets your name in front of those people. By having a CRM, you are basically creating a database of all these people's information. You have their phone number, you have their address, you have their email, you have their name. Go ahead and use that stuff to your benefit. Use that stuff to bring those people back into your database so that you can continue to sell work to them and continue to make a happy customer. Because at the end of the day, it's cheaper to get a client that's already been your client than a brand new client. At the end of the day, it's way more cheaper. So fortune is in the follow-up. Well guys, this has been day 70 of my 100-day video challenge. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As you can tell, the background's a little bit different here. I'm actually away. We're at my in-laws for a few days, and so I had to basically take the quad and come out to the orchard and basically get some quiet because they're kind of near a busy road. So kind of came out here in the country. Also, my son's taking a nap over at the house. So this will probably be the background for the next few videos. But appreciate you guys being here. I would love to hear your comments. I know, some of you guys comment all the time, and I absolutely love that. But some of you guys, I've never heard from you. And I want to tell you right now, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment in the comment section below. It's really, really fantastic when I get to kind of engage and hear from you guys, hear what's going on in your life, hearing how these videos are helping you, or maybe you have some different thoughts that I didn't include in these videos. I would love to hear that as well. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is day 70. Tune in tomorrow for day 71. We are going all the way up to 100. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day.